चाचू ने मेरा इंस्टाग्राम प्रोफाइल देख लिया. Oh no, वो मॉम डैड को बता देंगे that I'm gay. Oh shit, oh my god.
I'm out and proud. All my friends know about me. So, what's the big deal?
Yeah, but do your parents know about this? Huh?
Hello. Thank you for joining our live on Color Positive. Sorry for the slight delay. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. Hi, Harsha. I'm glad to see all of you joining us today. Happy Mother's Day also. So, today we're very lucky to have two special guests with us. They're joining us from the Sweekar group that is a group that is LGBTQ parents, and they're a support group that helps families come out and understand each other and help us move forward in our out lives. And so we're very lucky today to be speaking with a daughter and a mother who have come out to each other, or the daughters come out to the mother, and they have an open relationship, and they're going to talk to us about that process and how we can hope to do the same with our families. And so, let me see if they've joined us already here. It looks like they probably have. Yes, there she is. She just sent me a request. So, without further ado, we'll be introducing Koninika, who's a bisexual woman. She actually currently works with the Godrej India Culture Lab, which is an amazing organization. If you haven't looked them up, definitely do so. And her mother, Nilakshi, is a professor and an educator who has been a surrogate queer parent to many people and is going to be a wonderful resource for us to speak to. It's rare we get to hear the parents' perspective. So without further ado, let me go ahead and add them. Just a moment. It's great to see so many of you signing on.
Hello.
Hello. How are you both doing?
Oh, we're fine.
Great. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to speak with you.
Yes, it's really nice to be here, especially on Mother's Day with, talking about this stuff. So yeah. Yeah, it is a special feeling.
Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Thank you.
Did you guys get to do anything special to celebrate?
Oh, yes. I don't know if it was a celebration as such, but we had we had a nice lunch, and then we had a deep discussion about what it means or what it might mean in a post-corona world. So I think Mom is a sucker for conversations, so this was quite a treat for her also. Yeah. Yeah. We had a pre-Insta live show at home, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that conversation will be very interesting to live stream as well.
Yeah, we were actually thinking about it, whether we should do a time capsule and see what actually happens. But then we gave that up because we were like, let's be authentic right now and be in the moment. So that's, yeah. But sometime we'll record this. It's fun. Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah, you definitely should. Imagine 10 years from now. What if you're right about everything?
Yeah. We just got to 6 months ahead. We just got to 6 months ahead. And we were pretty stuck. things are going to be really difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even think that far ahead right now. I'm just trying to plan tomorrow's lunch. So let's go ahead and jump in. There's so much we have to talk about. I started writing my questions and I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much I want to speak to you guys about. So let's just first start with Koninika. If you could tell us a little bit about your journey. I'm actually most interested to hear from your mother's perspective, but I think that it's nice to first hear a little bit about what your journey has been like. So if you could just start out with just kind of the beginning, like when you started knowing you were queer and growing up in India, did you experience any type of subtle homophobia that made you anxious about coming out to your family or your loved ones?
Yeah, I think for me, the journey was a little bit different because I'm bisexual. And so for a lot of my sort of young life, I did not acknowledge the fact that I had attraction to the same gender as well. And pretty much the same sort of growing up that you have with attraction to boys, crushes on boys. I would talk about those things, but I wouldn't talk about my feelings for these very close friends that I had. That I would not even. I actually didn't have any imagination of what it would be like to be queer. And I remember if this goes back to the time that you first even think about the word, lesbian or the words bisexual, so I have never even heard. But whenever you hear of these words the first time, you hear of them in a negative connotation. At least I did.
Right.
And so for me, that meant that, already it was something taboo and it was something that I should not mention. Why would I, right? Because everywhere around me, all kinds of relationships that I saw, at least romantic ones, were between men and women. You don't have examples of same-sex relationships. And so you don't think or have an imagination of what it would be like to, have a relationship like this, or what these feelings that I was feeling meant. I had no imagination of it. So I would feel, attracted to my friends, but I would never think of them as attraction at all. I would think that this is just friendship, or if they spend too much time with someone else or something, I would start to get jealous, but I would never know why I would feel these feelings so intensely, right? And it was difficult because although I didn't face any outright homophobia because I'm a cis person, so for me at least, gender presentation wise or gender expression wise, I was a girl and a woman. I faced bullying and harassment because of my weight, but not because of my gender expression as such. Of course, the usual stuff that everyone gets about, being a woman enough and all of that, or like being girly enough, that everyone goes through that. But I don't think particularly because of my sexuality that anything that I was bullied in any way because of it. Actually I didn't even have it articulated. Yeah, but right. I think it's also because I hadn't articulated it. Yeah.
Right. I'm actually also a bisexual woman and also pretty straight presenting in many ways. And so I know exactly how you feel. It takes a long time to get the words to describe what you're going through. And also, I don't know if you identify with this feeling, but for a long time, I was like, why would I bother my parents with this? Because I have a boyfriend at the time, and maybe my female pursuits were not as serious for some time. And so it was like I could take advantage of my straight passing ways. And which means it took me longer to come to terms with it, and also to come out to my parents, because it's also pretty difficult for parents to grasp sometimes, because they might hope that you still will end up marrying a man at some point. Did you struggle with any of that?
Yes, definitely. I think when I first came out to myself, also, like I described it also very much about my relationship with like body image issues as well. That as a fat person, like entering a store or entering, any kind of space where I have to shop for myself according to my body, I would face constant rejection. And I think like it felt the same when I was looking for my feelings to be reciprocated as well, that I wouldn't find a fit. And for me, like finding the label of bisexuality was like finally finding a pair or a dress that fit. It really meant a lot in that way. So like it was a very freeing experience as well, because I had, like you said, I had attractions to women, and I actually found out because I fell in love, and that was the only way to kind of finally face the fact that this is real. Otherwise, I would just kind of brush over it and say like, yeah, of course, everyone stares at women, like they're pretty and things like that. But I kind of accepted it only when I fell in love. And then I had to, I had this whole process that you mentioned about, just saying to myself, this is fine. I'll just keep this as a side thing. Like nobody ever has to know. I will still marry a man because hey, I'm still attracted to men. And I had this whole thing that all of those things that you say to people who are either in the community, you say to them, this is just a phase. People say all that kind of stuff, right? I said those things to myself. I was like, yeah, this is just a phase. I am just experimenting. This is because I don't have access to boys, that this is what's happening to me. So I said all of those things to myself. And then obviously living that experience, but also reading, meeting people, attending Kashish for that matter, was a huge eye-opening experience for me. That I don't need to actually hide this at all. There are so many people, there's a sea of people really who feel the same way that you do and understand where you're from, and who can make you feel like you belong. Because honestly, that was the biggest fear, right? That you will not belong with anyone, because nobody was willing to, or nobody had talked about it like it was a normal thing, right? Like a general thing. Nobody had a conversation about it. The only time I remember talking to, I think you about it, was that when Section 377 2009 judgment had come and had asked, like, what does this even mean? And I think you had said that we should be empathetic towards the community. But she didn't know at that time, and neither did I, that I was from the community. But she just told me that we should take this with a lot of patience and understand the community. And that's all. That's not a detailed discussion we had. But I remember that she was somehow at least a little bit sympathetic towards the community, if not completely understanding of it. Yeah.
So then when you were getting ready to come out, or at least when you had known about yourself, what did you know about your mother's opinions about the community?
I think by then what I had started to do was I had a lot of sort of interest in feminism in general, and so I had discussed those things with her in great detail. So we would talk about these things a lot. And within that, I don't think we talked about particularly LGBT issues, but they would come up once or twice, and we would discuss them as concepts. And we would say, yeah, this is this is how they should be treated in society, and all of those kinds of things. And what I started doing when I had come out to myself as well was that I started to drop hints. Like, obviously, when I was already in a relationship with someone at that time, and we would spend a lot of time together. So there was no sort of guessing about what that kind of relationship was. And then I'm sure she had guessed by then, but I wouldn't talk to them about it, because our family was anyway going through a tough time at that time, and I think you can tell. everyone what was happening. But yeah, so the family was in trouble, and I didn't want to, add one more thing about myself in that situation. So I just thought that it's better that I keep this to myself and deal with it in my own way and talk about this later when things are a little bit more settled. That's what I thought I would do. So, but then before that, along that time, I had already started to draw hints about things, and I actually went to the UK to study for my masters. And over there, there obviously people are a lot more open about stuff. So I would try and attend a lot of the LGBT events there. It was very alienating, to be honest, because I mean, whatever the situation is there, I think they are a generation, in ahead of time in terms of rights, in terms of acceptance, all of those things. Because the person who was heading our LGBT ally group there was her parents were lesbian. So you can imagine, like, there's a whole generation of like difference there, right? Like, I couldn't relate to that experience at all.
Yeah, I recently can adopt here, na? So what chances is there of that?
Yeah, so I couldn't relate to that experience at all. So it was very alienating to go there, but I would keep updating my Facebook, like I'm going to everything. And she asked me as well, like, why do you keep going to these things? And I was like, oh, just to understand, like, just to inform myself about the community and stuff like that.
And so I quizzed you on that.
Yeah.
I said, please don't go there to watch things as if they're in a zoo. Have some respect for the community. If you don't understand anything about it, you can't go there and just watch.
Yeah, she said that. And then you want to say how I could not talk to you a lot.
No, I don't know what she wants.
Just how did I come to the point of coming out? I didn't actually.
Oh, well, she didn't. She would never have come out. She's very reticent as a person. She's very quiet. She looks very lovely, but she's actually very quiet. So really, she wouldn't ever come out. I mean, I have to tell her that I want some time and I want to chat with you. Skype. And
oh, wow.
Yes.
So you're the one?
She just wouldn't give me the time. She just wouldn't talk to me. So I said, I was here and she was abroad, and I told her, you will please talk to me, and I need a very serious conversation. Give me some time. And I just asked her, and then she then had to admit.
Wow, it's very rare that the parent is the one to initiate that conversation. So when you first I don't know if I should be calling you auntie or Nilakshi or what I should be calling you.
Whatever. I mean, I'm comfortable with I don't hate auntie, and I accept Nilakshi, so you can say either.
Okay, great. So when you had first had an inkling that, she's going to these different events, you think you might even know who her partner might be, what was your thought process at that time? Were you trying to kind of brush it away, or were you doing like online investigating because she wasn't even in the country at that time? What was your process?
Yeah, the only concern I had was that she was going through at that time a very deep psychological anguish. That's what I felt, that she was going through depression, and to help with her sexuality, I don't care about that. I just wanted mental health to be addressed. That's the only reason why I wanted to talk to her. I actually wanted to even go abroad to be with her. And then I had second thoughts. I just thought that, no, can I do this? Should I do this? Will that put her into more trouble if she wants to face it herself? Should I give her a chance? Should I go a little later? Or anyway, she's going to come back to the country. Then, can I afford it? All these questions were there. So I didn't go. But then, I was equipping myself mentally because, I was going to a counselor myself. There was trouble at home. So we were going through a rough patch at home. So we were all of us going to a counselor. And so she was the only one denied that because she was abroad, and counseling is very difficult over there. Free counseling for students is very difficult, and getting paid counseling was even more difficult. And at that time, online counseling wasn't that common. Even though our counselor said that she would offer her services in case she wanted online counseling, but then she was probably a little suspect of the whole thing because that person was a common counselor. I mean, the only one I knew. So she would be counseling me and her, and that would not be right according to her.
Also, I thought at that time, which a lot of people think that they will try to correct me or something, like because there are parents who do that, they'll be like, this is a problem and it needs to be cured. So that was kind of my fear. In addition to the fact that I didn't want to add to the trouble that was already there, so I was just like, let it pass and then we can talk. And I wanted to do it also face to face. That was one thing I had to do.
So to Neeti and to all out there who are listening to this chat, the most important thing is to be able to take psychological help along this time, and so to go to the right counselor who will not take away from your identity, but help to bolster it, help to take you on the right path, and open a channel of communication with at least one parent, so that things are stable at your end as well as at the home end. So it's really important that the channel of communication remains open. She shut everything up because she was dealing with it herself, so she just would not communicate with anyone, and that put an unknown amount of pressure on her. And in that foreign country, no friends, no nothing, I thought it was absolutely traumatic. So that's something that that I think it was very important at that time, that we stepped in and we started opening out one channel. At least she was free of this, that okay, now my mother knows.
Yeah.
At least that.
Even though I was not in the same country, to hide any aspect of your life with people who see you, who you've grown up next to.
Just keep it slow and easy, and by then we had kind of understood and accepted. What was even more helpful was that my older daughter is a medical student, so she helped me a lot also, on the personal front. So it's a counselor is a different thing; it's a professional advice you seek, but to have someone at home who knows about this, who understands the sister and can speak on her behalf and help me read stuff and all that. That also helped a lot, I think. So, in a way, we were very fortunate. Even our relatives abroad, who were actually her hosts, they were, she was staying with a lot of them. They also gave a lot of support. So, if even one member of the family or extended family gives support, it's a big thing, So the thing is, of course, luck. The thing is also that you need to be open and communicative. So the problem with Koninika and with many other youngsters is that they think that they can manage the show so effectively that they don't need to communicate at all. That is not the thing, If you shut yourself up, if you close all doors, then who will come to your side? And sometimes you do need help, and that's something you need to acknowledge.
Yeah, and it's hard for us to acknowledge that. I think that once you actually take the step and tell your parents, only then I feel will you realize what a weight was lifted. Like, you think that you could handle it, and only then you realize what a big. So can you tell us what changed for you after you came out? Like, how emotionally, mentally, what was, maybe for both of you, could you just speak a little bit? We can move on to other things after that. But and also I'd like to say, now that the connection is back, in the comments, if you guys have any questions, we're open to questions throughout. So please be asking questions in the comments, and we'll be happy to answer more personalized questions. Okay.
Yeah, we can see the comments.
You could answer that.
Yeah, I think what changed, the question is what changed for us. For me, it was a huge relief, really, because, but obviously because it went well, right? I don't know how it would be if it didn't go well. It would, for part of the thing, I don't think it was, it went well also, because there was some issues with the person I was dating and they weren't okay with it and whatever. So I don't think it was all positive either, but at least the fact that they accepted me was a relief for me. But I don't think eventually, like, it did become about the fact that they weren't accepting the person I was with. So for me, mentally, it was just another way of saying you don't accept me. So it took a while still, But I think what made a difference was the fact that I felt confident in myself to be able to tell it to other people. At that time, when I wasn't out to my family, I would tell people, but I would have this. I would feel this imposter effect that I'm not actually at liberty to say this because I haven't told my family, and they if they find out about it, it won't be nice or whatever. So like that fear was constantly there. But then I think after I came out, then it got easier, and then I felt confident also to then take a job in the LGBT like space. So after I came back to India, that's what I wanted to do, and they were supportive about that as well. And I think that if they weren't supportive, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. So
yeah, I imagine it's actually changed your entire professional career to date because you were able to be.
So when I was working at the Hospital Trust, one of the things I used to do is handle crisis cases. And one of the first cases that I handled was of people who were my age, and they were actually 1 or 2 years younger than me, and they were in trouble because their family wasn't accepting them. And I was able to help them and talk to the police and make sure that their rights are not violated, all of those things. And the only difference really between them and me was the fact that I had this badge of this NGO, and that my parents and family were supporting the work that I did. Otherwise, I could have been in the same situation as them. And that really,
so then
was. Yeah.
So then, do you have advice for since you have dealt with crisis counseling yourself, and Nilakshi, you're also an educator. So, do you have any advice for people who have a very strong feeling, and there might be accurate feeling, that their parents will not be coming around so easily? It could be a really, we've been on lives just last week with a therapist. Some people here have told us that their parents have sent them to 10 therapists, or they know that they'll be kicked out. So what to do when you know that you may not have such a welcome housewarming?
Only patience and definitely economic independence. So what you need to do at that point is to work really hard and not break down, retain that mental strength which should be able to give you a kind of a very strong foothold economically, so that after some time at least you're not worried that I will be thrown out of the house and what will I do. My parents will hold on to my certificates and I will not get a job. That's what was happening to the couple that they were trying to save, This is something that I would like to share with all those who are watching and who are younger, that give your parents time. Don't spring a surprise on them when you are still a student and at the brink of your career or something, or make or break part of your career, like you're just going in for a job, or you're about to face your school final exam or higher secondary exam, something like that. Take them into confidence if you could. Don't push the case. Let it be, just lie low for a while when you know that there's going to be a hostile reaction. But, I really can't predict a formula, I'm afraid. And I shouldn't be doing that. So I would like to just say that hold on to your beliefs, educate yourself first, and try to network with a community, especially of people slightly older than you and parents like us, accepting parents like us. Just don't go wildly groping in the dark. There are ways out. So, you try to belong to a community, try to network so that you get the right advice from the right kind of people, instead of just wildly sowing oats here and there. So,
right. There's a reason that so many of us are leaning on the community, reaching out to the community, because we have shared experiences that we can benefit from one another.
Correct.
We saw a question here that we can answer quickly before we move on to some of the other ones I had. Someone was asking, Koni, how does it feel, or is it awkward if your mother asks you about your girlfriends, who you're dating, and what's going on with that?
No, I don't think it's awkward at all. In fact, during lockdown, my partner and I are staying with my family right now because there was a situation with pests at our place where we live together. So we couldn't handle it, and so now we're staying. It's lovely.
What the hell?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
So 4 of us are having a ball.
That's the dream, man. That's really the dream. You're gonna make me cry. Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So then, was there ever, or what was the other thing I was thinking about talking about? So, what was your biggest fear for Koni when she was first coming out as a parent? So we can try to understand what's going through the parents' heads.
When she was coming out, I don't know. I mean, now I can't recall what I was exactly feeling. But oh, my fear. My fear was, of course, that she's going to have a very lonely life. I never knew that there was this community waiting to receive people like her and me and more. Okay, I had no idea that there was such a vibrant community around which is going to accept me also as part of it, and we will have such a wonderful time together. But at that point, I thought that she's going to be so lonely, and what is going to happen to her, and she's going to have a lot of brickbats from society, and people will misunderstand her. I know what will happen to her. That's what I was. Basically, that's what I was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It couldn't get funnier than that, because now I think she is much more, accepted and loved and understood by so many more people than she would have been if she would have been her earlier self, when she had not even identified her sexuality.
You know what just occurred to me? I really wish that I invited my mom to watch this live.
Yes, would have been good. It would have been good.
I know, right?
I've invited my friends, many of my friends. I don't know whether they are watching.
I'm sure they are. So then let's move on for a moment to talk a little bit about Sweekar group. Can you tell us what is this support group and how did you first seek it out?
Okay, so Sweekar, the support group of parents, rainbow parents, was initially started by 5 or 6 people, maybe 7 people, who were supported by some funds and a lot of other support from Sridhar Rangayan, who is the founder and the director of Kashish, and Harish Iyer, Padma Iyer, Chitra Palekar, then some other parents who got together and decided that they should form this organization of parents, because as his film, Sridhar's film Evening Shadows shows, the mother is often alone in battling this out. So if you have a parent support organization, then mothers like the character shown in the film will definitely find better support, and together then they can make the fathers come to some kind of acceptance, and the family as a whole will not go through that kind of severe stress. So that's why they started this platform. Initially, it was a very small, closed platform, and then gradually through the Humsafar network, it tried to reach more parents through members of the community, inviting their parents. So my daughter just said, "Would you like to join this group?" I said, "See, I don't have time for one more group. No more WhatsApp group." She said, "Okay, just be there if you like. Then see how it is." And now here I am. One of the pretty vocal, active, and on courses, and we do events together. We talk to people as they have invited me. I go to corporates, I go to mixed audiences, I go to large gatherings, and I'm not saying we all do, I'm just a member, but I'm saying initially you start with these kinds of trepidations. One more group, God knows what they will talk. It's such a private thing, do I want to talk about it? But once I went to Sweekar's first meeting that I attended, which was their probably second meeting or third meeting, and things were still at a formulatory stage, I felt so welcome. I felt so much a part of a larger, accepting, kind and loving group of people, and the beautiful space that they had created, that I definitely wanted to return to it. And that's the experience of most of the other parents who joined for the first time, who joined Sweekar for the first time. They initially joined through phone calls and, kind of distant communication. Sometimes face to face, if it happens to be in a say acceptance meet or a kashish or some other social gathering of the LGBTQ children who have brought their parents along. Otherwise, it's difficult to network, because it's a private thing. So it is a group which meets from time to time, but we maintain confidentiality of the parents who desire confidentiality, who are not out to society. So we have so many members. We have like 70 members now who are based in India and abroad, and in many states in India, many cities in India, as well as abroad. But we don't, publicize everything so openly unless the parents agree. So, like for example, my photographs and my other friends from Sweekar, our photographs were splashed all over Times of India and Midday and whatnot. But not everybody. So we take very good care to preserve.
Fans in the comments.
Yeah.
I said, I hope you're seeing these fans in the comments. They're saying, I want to meet your mom. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's the best.
My daughter has come, and my other friends who are of course Konika's friends also. I can see them. Yeah, Richa. Hi, Richa.
Okay,
thank you.
I had to point it out. It's so sweet to see. Everyone's also saying that you guys are my role models and things like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I was talking and I was looking at your eyes rather than the screen, so I didn't see you. Yeah, so nice. Hi, all of you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us here and motivating us. Yeah, so it was a very different kind of an experience. It was such a loosening up for me that today I say that I hope that in every family there is at least one LGBTQ person. Then only they would get to loosen up and widen their perspective. So I never felt this way before, and I think one of the most let us say unique experience that I had was when I went for the first time to the Hamsafar Trust office, when there was the staging of the play Ek Madhav Bagh by Mona Ambegaonkar. I was just a spectator, but my God, such love and affection, such a lot of warmth from the entire lot of people there. I just didn't know how to respond. I mean, I felt inadequate to accept so much love. I really felt inadequate. I felt, kind of apologetic that, I didn't extend my love in equal proportion as yet, that I hadn't opened up as yet, and that they were giving me so much. So it can be a very humbling experience. For the first time when you go to an LGBTQ space and you get that much of honor and that much of affection, as much of rejection that you earlier had given. That is something that I need to put on record, that it often happens. Maybe I have not effectively given that kind of rejection to anyone. But who hasn't laughed at a transgender person? Who hasn't joined in comical jokes and references and digs at a gay person? Who hasn't done that? Even people who are from the community have in their younger days probably, they still probably do, laugh and joke and all that. But, now you learn that they are flesh and blood people for you. They are people you love, you care for, and you will, fight for them to quash such jokes and not allow people to make those comments, and rather get them to open their eyes and empower them to learn more about them at every opportunity that you can.
Right.
So.
With the newer parents, can you tell us what is one of the more common fears or worries that you hear from these parents, and how you maybe deal with that? I'm very curious because
somehow
inside that room.
Somehow I find that the parents of the mothers are more out there and the parents of the boys are very, very disturbed. They keep thinking that what will happen to my son, who will look after him, and what will happen in future, and that's the kind of they feel that they will be isolated, and that they will have no family and all those things. So when we talk to people, then these are some of the things that we keep telling them, that there are different types of families. The idea of family is now different, and the senior members of House of our Trust also come and talk to us, and they tell us that what are the different types of families. And we can have families of choice, who can always be there for your support. So there are many other ways in which one interprets the whole idea of family, and what does a family do anyway, other than, I'm not using that foul word, than talk about you badly behind your back. Okay, so yeah, I mean, see, institutions like these, like family and marriage, are so fraught with inconsistencies and problems, that even in the families that you in the world out there where heteronormative society exists, even there there are so many problems that it's not as if that world is a very elevated and a very fine and happy place. So indeed, one can't say that one is in a better place just because of one's sexuality. No, that's not true.
Yeah, and I also think that
go ahead.
I was saying that the one thing that Sweekar also does is for the people there. There's always this question of like, log kya kahenge, right? Like, what will people say? And that's the biggest concern, really. Like, what will people say? What will society say? And once you're in this group and you see that there are about 40 people who aren't saying anything, who are actually just like you. And then you realize that log zyada kuch nahi karenge, because this is the log, right? Like, this is the log you want to surround yourself with. Once you have that sort of space where you can be yourself, and your family is just as normal as the others, that's when you start to feel that, all of these ideas of society and family are just constructions. And like you were saying, that there is this, it's a very freeing space to see so many people coming together on very simple things, right? Like what Sweekar does is just have meetups of different kinds. Some are planning meetings, but some are really just a meal together, which is what a lot of family gatherings are. And I think that sense of family also gets reinforced a lot with Sweekar.
So we had a Diwali party, which was like a just a potluck party for all of us, where we just took things and we played silly games and took nonsensical gifts for each other and just laughed over it and danced, and everybody danced, and we did catwalk and karaoke and whatnot. So everyone of all kinds of sexualities and gender preferences was definitely there, and we really had such a ball, and it was such a wonderful time that we had. And then sudden surprises, like a very elderly, quiet Maharashtrian gentleman saying that Maja don natu. Okay, what do you say? I mean, for grandchildren, he has his son is gay and is married, and they have adopted surrogate children. Twins, okay? Tiny little children playing in the pool. So he showed us pictures of them, and just imagine, he is a single parent now, his wife has expired, but then that gentleman very quietly and gently and proudly showed us the photographs of his gay son's children. Okay? So I mean, what do you say after that? Okay? So life need not be lonely, need not be family-less and all of that. So there are so many such examples. Once you come to Sweekar, you find that who have been working and in this space for so long, and they have got such diverse and such inclusive and such wonderful experiences, you really feel humbled, and you really feel that more and more people should join this group and should have a better understanding of what it is to be a parent of a child whom you were always proud of and continue to be proud of, just because he or she is your child. I mean, no questions asked.
Right.
So for in the week, yeah.
I have one question that I'm like legitimately curious about, because in other countries, for example, in America, which is where I grew up, my parents, I could assure them that don't worry about me. I'll still be able to get married. I'll still be able to have children. All those things you wanted for me, even if I have a female partner, that can still happen. But what breaks my heart is that here, if you come out, you can't say the same thing to your mother. You can't say that, theek hai, it's okay, I'll still get married, I'll still be able to have a child, because the laws have not come there yet. And so, what do you think we can do about that? Because it is a legitimate fear or sadness or concern that, like, you won't be able to have that union, or you won't be able to adopt.
देखो होगा, सभी धीरे धीरे होगा, थोड़ा तो पेशेंस रखना ही पड़ेगा. यू कांट से दैट ये सब चीज असंभव नहीं होता, कोई चीज भी असंभव नहीं होता. तो कभी ना कभी होगा, जब तक होगा तब तक शायद तुम ही पहली कदम उठाओगे, शायद तुम्हारी फैमिली, शायद तुम्हारे पेरेंट्स तुमको मदद करेंगे. ये तो हो सकता है ना. कितने जन हैं जो कि हेटेरोसेक्सुअल होके भी अपने बच्चे नहीं पैदा कर सकते हैं. दे हैव टू टेक ट्रीटमेंट्स, दे हैव टू गो फॉर सरोगेसी. ऐसे तो बहुत होते हैं ना, अडॉप्ट करते हैं. तो हम भी क्यों नहीं, राइट, है ना. तो उसमें मदद करते हैं कि नहीं, तो फिर इसमें भी मदद करो ना. सो ऐसा है.
ग्रेट पॉइंट.
एकदम सिंपल है, ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट करना नहीं है इशू को.
Yeah, look at that. What an easy answer, apparently.
हाँ नहीं, सच्ची ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट करने की मतलब नहीं है. वैसे मतलब मेरे तो 2 बच्चे हैं, एक हेटेरोसेक्सुअल है और एक बाइसेक्सुअल है. वो हेटेरोसेक्सुअल लड़की क्या अभी तक शादी करके बैठी है क्या? 30 साल की है, सोची भी नहीं है कुछ उसने. और मैं क्या उसको जबरदस्ती करूंगी कि शादी करना ही है कर? ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होता है. आजकल सब बदल गया है. एंड आई डोंट वांट हर टू डू समथिंग दैट शी डजंट वांट टू टुडे, सो सिमिलरली इसको भी रहने दो जैसा इसको चाहिए, जैसे जब इसका जो मन होगा तो तब. और सब बदल रहा है, सोसाइटी में सब कुछ बदल रहा है, और समाज हम ही बदलते हैं ना. हम ही हर दिन थोड़े थोड़े करके हम ही सब कुछ बदल रहे हैं. तो ये बदलाव भी हम ही देख पा रहे हैं कि कैसा हो रहा है क्या नहीं. थोड़ा ऐसा चैलेंजेस किस टाइम में होता है. हमारे पेरेंट्स के टाइम में करके एक न्यूक्लियर फैमिली बनाना ही बहुत चैलेंज था. अभी तो न्यूक्लियर फैमिली में रहते हैं, तभी उनको कितना परसिक्यूट किया गया था, है ना. तो ऐसा ही है, जनरेशन अडॉप्ट, एक्सेप्ट, एंड मेक न्यू थिंग्स. हो जाएगा, सब होगा.
Right. Beautiful, very inspiring. That's and also a very good point. Like I have a heterosexual brother, and they're choosing to go through the foster system because there's so many children in the world that need a family. And so then why is it any different if I also choose to go through the same, adoption process? Or I could have a natural baby and he couldn't, and it's like, it's so interesting. You never know. So before, I don't want us to run out of time abruptly, because nothing's more frustrating than than not being able to say goodbye properly. So in our last few minutes, girlfriend in the frame.
I was asking if she doesn't mind. So she's not prepared with them. She's she's been playing with the camera from behind, so in case you know that things are going for her. Yeah, so what I wanted to say is that for more people to reach out to Sweekar, please follow our page. There is a Google form there in case you want your parents to become members. You can fill up that form and then we reach out to you. If we give you phone numbers, you can even message us. We are very prompt in replying, so we will get back to you. And then we can take
right now. I'm just posted, Color Positive just posted a comment. That's the Facebook page. I'm not fully certain how to pin it. I'm trying. Oh, pin comment. Okay, perfect. So I just pinned the Facebook page. Please feel free to go there, and as you just said, you can take advantage of all those resources. Does anybody have any last questions, or is there anything else that you guys would like to say while we're waiting for a question or two to come in?
In Sweekar, we went through a very long, very elaborate, and very well conducted professional counseling course, not counseling, training program, let's say spread about 8 months. We underwent some 6 to 7 hours course in a day, okay, on a given Sunday. And this was organized by Humsafar Trust for us. And we were very well trained in so many aspects of the related to the LGBTQ community: sex, gender, sexuality, legal aspects, medical aspects, psychological aspects, then all kinds of other social dimensions, and stereotypes related to them, then families and medical problems and all kinds of things. So we had a wonderful training. And yeah.
What did you find to be your most, what did you personally find to be most interesting that you learned from those various lessons?
Personally, most important, I think the medical, the legal dimensions were most important to me, because that gave me a surer understanding. And first it raised a lot of questions, and then it gave me a better understanding of the framework in which we should work in future. So that was important for me, I thought.
But also just personally, I was taking some of
she was taking some of the
I was there throughout wherever the sessions were happening, just because there were aspects that I had to handle, and I was volunteering for the for the course to happen. And so we actually we got closer as a family, just attending that course together, and for me to share the things that I've learned while being on the job, and for them to share their fears and their insecurities with the community, and just talk more openly about these things. I think it really helped, and I think a lot of the times what we would do is just not talk about things, or talk about things in abstract, but the course helped us personally as a family to just talk about them in much more detail. So it was a great experience.
Also, now the Sweekar group has brought another group into being, the children's group. The parents, the children of the Sweekar group parents have got themselves into a group, and they gave us a lovely treat and a beautiful program they presented to us very recently on the 26th of January this year. So we are very fortunate to have children who support us, okay, and children whose friends and partners are also supportive. They are also part of part of the ambit, and we kind of know each other, and we can freely talk to each other. So a beautiful network, and I'm very happy and very proud to be part of this.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely, lovely. And I think that maybe we just have time for one more short answer. We had talked about this last night. For people in times of Corona, when we're all in the house together and there's a little bit of extra pressure on this, do you have any final words of wisdom about what to do in that circumstance? If you're not yet out and you're feeling a little trapped with your family coming to know about you, it's hard to hide it all the time.
Yeah, I think generally just to, if there is any possibility of you having privacy, if it is even, in the bathroom or whatever, just take a few minutes to meditate a little bit, talk, improve your self-talk, remind yourself that even if you are with toxic families, for example, who are constantly questioning you, that you're not wrong, you're not alone, that there is a community who, is there for you, who understands you. I know it can be really, really difficult. I'm sorry if you are going through something like that. But do reach out. There have been people who have reached out to me in the past few weeks as well, and I'm really glad that in whatever way I can, at least I talk to people. So yeah, if you want to, there are people who would be willing to talk. There is a link I think I've shared, and you've pinned as well, of mental health counselors who would be willing to help. So definitely, remind yourself that you're not abnormal, and reach out for support from people you know who love you. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, great. Well, I don't want to get cut off in dramatic form. So let's say goodbye now. But thank you so much for joining us. This was such a delightful conversation.
Thanks,
I'm
everyone.
really glad I got to meet you both, and I hope we get to work more together in the future. And thank you for everybody who tuned in and asked questions and joined us in this conversation. We'll probably have more to talk about soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Savio. Thank you, Neeti. Thanks, everyone. And bye-bye.
Bye. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you. Enjoy.